In this video, I'm gonna make a post for my Instagram, but I'm gonna take you along with me on the journey. Let's go. So before we get started, let me remind you, if you're looking for tips, tricks, hacks, tutorials, and other design inspiration videos, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell to get notified every time that I post a new video. So this is episode 4 of Photoshop Therapy, and in this series what I do is I create posts for my Instagram, and there's no editing, there's no speeding up, there's no time lapse. All this is just me, you, Photoshop, and however long this design takes. So let's get started. So today's theme is walk by faith and not by sight, and we're going to see what we can come up with on Photoshop. So I've got my artboard set up here, 3840 by 4800, and like always, I'm just going to go ahead and get my text in place. Now, like I said, this isn't a tutorial, this is just me, you, and Photoshop trying to work out how we make this look hopefully good. So we're going to get started. So I always get the text put in place first. So it's walk by faith. A little bit bigger like so, and we'll duplicate that and we'll say not by sight. Okay, so we'll just group that and center that up. So this is like my place to start. Now what I wanted to do with this design is kind of use effects and filters to make the not by sight thing kind of blurry and kind of hidden, just to show, you know, not by sight. So that's kind of where I'm going to start playing around with. So I'm going to choose some fonts and then start moving our way over to the effects. So I'll bring in some photos in a minute, but I normally start with the text. I had someone ask me the other day why I do text first and not image first, and that's because I really care about the message behind these, and the aesthetic kind of falls in line with the message. Okay, so let's just try some classic fonts that I like and see where we end up. Kind of like Benguit, if that's how you say it, but I'm looking for something that has some accents, but is not too like intense. So I don't want like a sans serif. I kind of want a serif font. I'm going to start with this font just to try it and see how we end up. I noticed that the spacing's a little tight, so let's make that bigger. Okay, and then we're going to bring those two close together, like so. So what I was thinking is having like some kind of rectangle here, like so, having that like a bit lighter with the text in there, but like it kind of, it's almost like the whole opaque thing where you can see through it. Translucent, that's the word. So it's like translucent where you can kind of see through it, but it's kind of blurry. So I'm going to try and work on that. So let's make that a bit bigger. And let's try bringing back that rectangle here. Bringing that like that. And let's change the color to just black for now, and then we'll see where we go with that. I'm going to make that fit. Okay, and we'll convert that to a smart object for now. And then what I'll do is go to filter gallery, and I think there is like a glass option, right? Glass, here you go. We do want frosted, so let's try that. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll add a slight Gaussian blur to that as well, I think, in a minute. I don't do that just yet. Okay, so that's kind of like the first, that's what I'm thinking, but obviously there's a lot to mess around with here. So let's go ahead and make that a little smaller. And let's try bringing an image in to start and just seeing what it looks like when we start adding this all together. So this is just one of the images I chose. I like the coloring of this and the kind of how the subject is placed. So we're going to put that in there. And then I'm wondering if I like start to play around with some of these blend modes, whether we can start to see something form. I wonder if I copy and paste this in here. I'm just going to try this and see how it looks. Okay, so that's cool. So I like how that's kind of like having its own little kind of twist on things. So it might be cool to like make that white. I think firstly let's pull this out of the smart filter so I can actually see what I'm doing. Just take that out, paste that in place, get rid of that. I'm going to add that guy back in, and now that'll be perfectly lined up. That's what I wanted to do, was make sure that you couldn't actually tell that there was a rectangle there. So, okay, so these two, we'll move that up here as well. Maybe let's try like just a more simple font for this, because it's going to get blurred anyway. So let's try, I really like Franklin at the moment, Franklin Gothic. It may be a little too simple, we'll try that. And then I might try like a color scheme that kind of matches what's going on here. Let's just try white for now and see where we move from there. Kind of like an off-white like that. Okay, and I'm going to bring the spacing in on this slightly, and then make sure those two are matching. Alright, so now I'm going to make that. Maybe I make that a little brighter. I'm just trying to make sure there's some, like, a little bit of distinguished difference between the rectangle, like the clipping mask here, and the background, because otherwise you won't be able to tell. So let's just try that and bring that all into a smart object. Okay, now we'll try adding that glass filter on again. That's cool. Something like that could be cool. Just wondering how to like make that stand out more. Whether add like a slight noise filter to that. Okay, so I like it, I like where it's going. I'm wondering whether we make like almost the whole thing that kind of glass, blurry, shady thing. So let's get rid of that and get rid of that. And let's just try like a really simple text. See this, I'm not like subscribed, like I've not kind of forced myself into doing anything in this series. Like if it's gonna be like a 10-minute design, then great. If it's gonna be like, you know, half an hour, then cool. But it doesn't have to be this really complex thing. I think sometimes it's just nice to watch someone in Photoshop. Anyway, that's what I think. I like kind of watching what people do in Photoshop, how they do things. It's kind of fun. Make sure they're all centered up, spaced out correctly. Looks kind of weird with that comma, so I have to do that by eye. Okay, then we're gonna really thicken this up. I don't want it in inter. I want to choose Franklin and then like black. Okay, and then I want to kind of choose that off-white color that we had before, something like that. So And then we're going to make that a bit bigger. Like that. And then I was just wondering whether it would work well if we had like kind of a bevel and emboss effect on there before we put it through the... It might help it to look kind of 3D, could be cool. It's worth a shot. So I want to chisel soft, I think, for this. No, chisel hard, and then turn that. Let's try that for now. Okay, it's worth a shot. It might not look very good, but we'll give it a go. And then maybe like that in the middle. Make that white. Bring that underneath. Do you want that white? Yeah, because I'm going to put this in here. Create clipping mask. And then I wonder if I like start to back the opacity off that, whether that will help. Now turn that into a smart object. Now go to filter, try the glass thing and see what happens. So that's cool. But it looks a little simple at the moment. I like it, but I think we can do better with that. Okay, let me try taking off the bevel effect, see if that helps. That definitely helps. See what other glass things I can do. Tiny lens. Oh, that could be cool. Doesn't show the texture very well until you zoom right in, and I'm not sure I really want that. I need to find a way for all of this like white area here to have some texture as well, because at the moment it doesn't. Okay, it's a good start. What I'm going to do is I know kind of the effect process now, so I'm just going to delete that and we're going to try again. So I think that we should play around with some different fonts and see what we can do. Let's add a new text layer. And we'll make that like a big font. Let's try Anton for a sec, just because that normally can work pretty well. So let's try that, and then we're going to duplicate that. Not by. Okay. I like the way that fits. I think that could be cool. Now we're just going to work out how to deal with this guy in the background. I don't want him to be completely cut off, so I might try some other photos that I have saved here, see if any of those kind of help lean into this a bit more. Not a huge fan of the colour scheme there. That's definitely better than it was. So maybe, let's try this one. I think I've already used that one actually. Let's try this. Okay. Nah, I think it's too cheesy, the whole foot thing. Okay, this bit could be cool. Like her looking through the letters there. That could be something. So let's try that. Let me just try some auto corrections on that. See if there's anything that I want to add. Don't really like where that's going, so I'm going to leave that as is for now. And then I'm just going to make sure this fits into the grid as well. So I just kind of create a little square template like that, just to make sure it's going to match everything else on the grid. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to make that a tiny amount smaller, like that. Gives us some room for the effects. And then now what I'm going to try and do is create like some effects with this section down here. So I'm actually just had an idea, and I have no clue this is going to work, but let's give it a go. I'm going to put a triangle in here, like this. Make that centered. Okay, and then I'm going to keep that out the front here. I'm going to put this in there, and this in there, and Faith needs to go in there as well, and that in there, and then the photo too, like so. Then I'm going to create a clipping mask on all of those. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to convert that and make that white. I'm going to take some of the opacity off just now. And I'm going to take that and run that through the filters and see what we can do with that. Okay, that's pretty cool. Just keep trying and messing around with that. So I like the concept, but the execution's poor. I think it just needs to be on the word site, and we need to find a better way to do that. So let's try just like standard text, like here, standard box, sorry. Put a color in, like so. Put a site in there. Actually, I need to make sure that this is centered first. Okay, and then put that in there, put that in there too. Create clipping mask. Create a smart object, filter, blur. Oh no, I'm not blurring, am I? I'm filtering, filter gallery. Put gloss on it. Okay, and then we're going to put that below, not by. And get rid of that. Okay, that's cool. It's a good start, but I'm not sure that really like shows the glass well enough, if that makes sense. So let's try and emboss that and see what happens. No. Okay, so maybe let's try changing the color. Maybe that will help. Let's try like a, that could be cool, like that red. Okay, I like more where that's heading now. There's a bit of color in there. I just want to try and like clean up these edges a bit. I feel like there's something wrong with that. Let's take some of that red out. I mean, what if I did this? So I kept that whole thing. Like that. Might just space that out a tiny amount. Okay, so we've got that. Cool. Now, instead of doing just the one thing, I do all of those together. So we're going to take like a rectangle, I guess, for that. Make that white, add that in. Maybe we should try making that black and then making it darker and seeing what that does. Like that. Now we're going to make that all into one smart object. Now we're going to add the filter again. Adding clipping musket. That's a schoolboy error. Okay, I'm going to have some issues if I don't fix that. So let's make that white. Then we're going to do the same thing again. Then maybe let's try making that like having a different blend mode on that, seeing if that helps. Let's just try that and see what happens. Filter gallery. I don't really like that. I'm going to turn that back to normal. Okay, so that's cool. So I think I'm going to try and like use that thing here, use what I've done here, and try and start to add some text over the top to make this a bit better. So like walk, and then make that like a cursive font maybe. One font I've been using a lot is called Lakeshore, Lakeside, and I kind of like that one at the moment. So let's try that with like kind of a poppy font color on top. So I wonder if I just try that font without the background and see what I can do with that. So what I'd need to do is like create some kind of outer glow so that the effect would work. So let's try that with that color. Kind of make that. Okay. Now let's try adding that glass effect again. No. Let's try doing that. Then go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Mixing those two together as a smart object, filter, gallery. Okay, it may need to be on like a black background, so let's try that too. Do that, and then go to that. And then we're going to add that filter. That's better. Okay, now we'll turn that to screen. I kind of just liked it how it was before without the... I think that's pretty cool. So, alright, the glass effect didn't work. Okay, so let's just try adding some text here. And I don't really think that font is working very well. It might, we can come back to that later and see if it does work, but I want to try and find another like serif font that, or a kind of script font or something like that just kind of helps carry this piece. So let's try making that a bit smaller and seeing what that does. It's a bit too curly. Still feel like that Lakeside one is one of my best options, if done correctly. So like that, and like that. Okay. So that's going to get cut off. So it's going to look like that. Maybe let's make these two smaller, just a tad. And do it like that and like that. Could work. I think I'm going to have to play around with the colours to make that work. Okay, we can change the colours in a sec, but I want to try and get this settled on the page if I can. Something like that. And then let's do a hue and saturation thing and see what we can come up with. Kind of like purple. But I think red's going to get it just because of the way the background matches. Yeah, I think that's our best photo, that one. Okay, so I might just move that around. But let's try, this could be cool if we can make the colors work with it. Let's try adjusting this slightly. Now that's cool. I like that. Either with that blue, it's pretty cool. Okay, so just gotta get this guy to kind of, maybe we need to shrink the size of this. Like that, maybe. Maybe I need to make that a little bit. Something like that, and then we're going to add some noise and see what that does to the image. Okay, filter, noise, add noise. I think I need to add some more. And we'll do like 30. That, and then I might add like an inside shadow to these guys because they look like they need a little bit of texture kind of thing. Something like that, and then maybe just make that like okay. Cool. Okay, I'm just going to tweak the color on here and see what we can do. That colour is probably our best bet. And I might just try one more photo. Yeah, I think this is still our best one. Or is it this one? It's too difficult. I think it's going to be this one just because of the way the text stands out more. But I want to make sure that person's eyes are coming through. But I don't want it to be like too creepy. So maybe I just like... And then I'm going to add a little bit of noise to the background as well. Make that like 20. And then I might just do some like vibrance, add some extra effects on top. Okay, and then maybe like a dust effect as well. try tweaking the colors again. I kind of like that blue. I think I should go with the blue. I think I should try it. Okay. And then, do I have any other photos I can try? Purple boy. That wasn't intentional. It's because that should have been a clipping mask. That's pretty cool. Kind of like that. Makes me want to change that color again though. I think I'll keep it as blue. Let me just see if that can be tweaked in any way. Nope. All right. Cool. Just going to reduce the size of this a tiny amount. Too small. Okay. Again, just want to tweak this color scheme because I'm not entirely happy with it. Okay, so there we have it, another design for Photoshop therapy. This one's going to be over on my Instagram, so make sure you check that out at Design by Reuben, and also let me know in the comments what you think about this design. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure you leave a like. It really does go a long way to helping this channel, and consider subscribing for plenty more videos like this to come. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.